So my 2012 Honda Accord here needs a battery. I wasn't going to do a video on it until I started getting into it and realized this might actually be a good subject. So when I went into the auto parts store to get a battery for this thing, I did not have the car with me because it was 5 below zero and it wouldn't start. And we took a different car in to go get the battery for it. And now I've waited till it got up to 10 degrees out to where it would start to bring it in here to do it rather than sitting out in the cold. But when we're in there, they say, the listings, you can put either a 51R group series battery or a 35 with no real distinguishing anything within the listings to say that it has to be one or the other, like it's either or, which causes some confusion on these things. And I remember when I was behind a parts counter seeing the exact same thing and always wondered about that. Well, now I know, and I'm like, let's do a video on this because this is good information, I think. I've already taken the J-bolts loose here, and that's when I decided, let's do a video. Because obviously we see there's more room in the battery box than is required for this battery. Now the Group 35 is wider and not quite as long. Now when we were in there, they were out of stock on the 51. So I went ahead and said, well, let's grab the 35 because it's got a little more cranking amps anyways, which is probably my whole problem here anyway. This thing only has 450 cold cranking amps. The battery I got's got 640, where the replacement battery they had in stock was, I think, 500. So the extra 150 cranking amps, 200 cranking amps is going to really come in handy at below zero temperatures. But the bracket here doesn't really fit anything but a 51, even though it says either or in the listings. What I believe the real issue is, I'm not 100% sure, that the 4 cylinders take the 51R and the V6s take the 35, because the V6s require a little more amperage. But this bracket here actually only fits the 51, but there's a really simple modification I think we can do to this without cutting that will allow it to fit. So in this case, these have J-bolts in them, rather than some of them will have studs coming up, but these cars have J-bolts. And one thing you want to make sure you do is when you go to take this bracket off is get a hold of that J-bolt back here, especially the one on the back side, when you go to lift this off. I forgot to do that. I lifted it up, the rear J-bolt flopped over, boom, it's somewhere down in the engine compartment somewhere. I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes looking for it once I get the battery out. But the other thing too is, these batteries, anything newer, pretty much 2005-ish range and newer, it's a good idea to hook a jump pack across the battery terminals to keep power going to the computer while you change out the battery. This particular model is just an LXP, which means it's basically a base model with aluminum wheels. So I just have the standard sound system in it, not even a nav screen or anything in the dash. And when I take my battery loose, the only thing that's going to happen is I got to basically reprogram the clock, stuff like that. That's it. But if you have a higher line car with all the premium sound system and all that, you're likely going to end up having to call the dealer, give them your serial number here, and get a security code to put into it in order to use it again. A lot of cars are that way. I'm just guessing on this one, but I know some Hondas are that way. It depends on the year. Some other cars are much worse than that. I know my buddy had a 2008 Ford Fusion, and when you disconnect the battery on that, you lose all throttle control. You push the gas, nothing will happen until it goes through a relearn procedure for the throttle body, which is all in the manual. But in his case, we went through the procedure multiple times and it still wouldn't work. Ended up, lucky for him, he is a very patient person. And over a period of a couple of days, since he had to go nowhere, he went through it enough times, about 12 times, that finally just relearned, was fine, worked again. We thought he was going to have to take it into a dealer or another mechanic to have it actually programmed and force learned. Now I do know some other cars like Mercedes-Benz, some years of those, they literally will not accept a new battery without being on a computer to program it to accept it. And when you put a battery in it, it'll start, it'll run, you just can't get it out of the park. So yes, that is a thing. Some of these cars can be really difficult to even just put a battery in, not just the location where it's mounted, but electronically. So when you go to the parts store and they say professional installation recommended and they won't do it, that is really the reason why, not because they don't want to, because there's too much liability involved for them to touch it. Now, since we don't have to deal with any of that stuff, we can just do a simple battery change. But the other good thing to think about is put a little bit of penetrating oil on these. I actually put some on them a couple days ago, knowing that I was going to change it out, and then the nuts came off really easily. Sometimes this stuff gets rusty and can be a problem, especially, I know Toyota, a lot of Toyotas will come across and bolt right through the core support, and that bolt can get completely frozen and just break off and be a real pain in the butt. Always start out with the negative terminal. Always take the negative terminal off first and put it on last. And of course the nuts on top of this are 10 millimeter. And in the case of this Honda here, these nuts are also 10 millimeter. So then we got this battery shield, which obviously will fit over either size battery, and I'll show you the difference of this battery and the other one side by side. And of course this one's got a nice little handle. We can take it on out. So here's this battery. And yes, I can palm a Honda battery. There's the difference in the size. They're pretty much the same length. This one's just wider than this one is. But the 35 series battery is a common battery for, like, say Toyota, and I believe Nissan as well, and some Hondas. But they generally carry more cranking amps than the 51 series. Usually 100, 150 more. Now this is the premium battery, the Extreme battery, Superstart Extreme from O'Reilly. I got an account there, and I used to work there one time. That's why I got an account there, and this is a Napa battery. I actually don't know how old this one is. I'm pretty sure it's at least 5 years old minimum, and it's fine at any temperatures above 5 degrees. Just anything below 5 degrees doesn't work. And it could be just because it's getting old, but also could be because it's only 450 cold cranking amps. I will keep this battery around to jumpstart cars with. I actually ended up turning in just a core battery I had laying around just so I can keep this one. Okay, so let's look at what it's going to actually take to put the 35 in place of the 51. As we notice, here's the battery cover. We have plenty of room there. This battery cover is actually made for the 35, but the bracket here isn't because of this piece here. But what we can do, we can take these, just bend this down like this, and now it'll fit the 35 series battery. My guess is they only weld this on the 4-cylinder ones, and they leave this bracket off for the V6 ones, which I'm assuming the difference between the two batteries. So that's all we really need to do, and we should be able to put it right back in there and reinstall it. So when you're putting this back in, this side goes towards the engine if you did take it out, because I took mine out and cleaned it. And if you don't put it in the right direction, things aren't going to fit. I think it's easier just to slide this over the battery before you put it in here. And there's little, and it locks in, boom. And then I think it's a good idea to go ahead and get your J-hooks here, like this. It's actually a good idea to just, when you're taking them out, to just loosen them out far. Then you don't drop them down into the bottom like I did earlier. And mine was down in the plastic under tray. So then we can come down here and get this one hooked and get this one hooked. Make sure the little notches are where they want to be. There's at the bottom is in its little, there's little tits that hang down into holes there. Make sure they're in there properly. And we can tighten everything down. Now I'm finding that this battery may be just even though it isn't actually any taller, I wonder if we got 2 length of J-bolts. Let me double check something here. One thing I did not double check was if the J-bolts are exactly the same length or not. Like I always said on this channel, not everything I do here is something that I've done before, and sometimes I'm learning as I go. And yes, the rear, believe it or not, the rear J-bolt is actually taller than the front one. So if I would have taken it out like this as one unit, it wouldn't have been an issue. But since I did it the way I did it and didn't compare them, yeah, well, now I'm looking like an idiot here. Like, I've changed hundreds of batteries over the years and I'm fumbling with my own. Of course, I don't think I've ever done one on this generation Accord before. There we go. Now everything fits like it should. We snug these things down. You don't want to crank the living crap out of these because you want to just make sure the battery's held in place. You don't want to risk cracking the casing or anything. And then of course, take the covers off, positive and negative. You wouldn't believe how many times we actually see that. And in this case here, this one doesn't want to come off. Pretty common. Small screwdriver will take it off too. And then of course, positive first. And then negative. And yes, you can put battery terminal spray, all kinds of different things they have you can put on these things. In my case, these terminals are really clean. A lot of times they won't be, and you'll have to clean them up really good. And if you do have to clean them, then yes, you should definitely put some battery terminal spray on there or something. Now, one thing you can do too is what we used to do in the Army, is once all your connections are made, and you know it's all clean and good, you can literally just take grease, like wheel bearing grease, put a little bit of wheel bearing grease over it. It'll do the same thing as your spray wheel as far as protecting the terminal from getting corroded. So there we go. Well, this is really a pretty simple thing to do. Sometimes it isn't as simple as it may seem. So if you like what we do here on this channel and you want to help support us, we do put links in the description for Amazon to things like the oil that we use here, hand cleaner, and various things like that. And when you click on the links in the description or use the QR codes that we'll put up here, probably on this side over here, we do get credit for that. It gives us a few bucks back here and there to help us keep this channel going.